Okay, let's look at taxation of benefits. So yes, Social Security is taxed. It's done so by a very unique definition. It's called provisional income. The way provisional income, you see it right here, the way provisional income is defined, it's adjusted gross income plus 1/2 of your Social Security benefit plus tax exempt interest. If that is you, okay, provisional income, that's how it's calculated. And let's just pick on, let's see, married filing jointly. Let's pick on that one. If your income, provisional income, is between $32,000 and $44,000, well, then up to 50% of your Social Security will be included in tax. I have some tax planning software that I utilize that automatically does the adjustment. TurboTax, I think, does the adjustment as well automatically when you're filing your return. But if you make over $44,000 as a married filing jointly individual, then up to 85% of your Social Security is included in tax. Please note, I did not say it was an 85% tax. What I said is 85% of your Social Security is then included in taxable income. That's what I said. That's how it works. Okay, so that's the taxation of benefits. Please be aware of provisional income. It's, if you notice here in the definition, tax exempt interest is part of provisional income. So it's one of the only times that interest you make, say on a municipal bond, will be included in a calculation, and that's provisional income, okay? And that is how Social Security is indeed taxed. Okay, so ways to minimize taxes on Social Security benefits. Well, reduce other income with tax advantage investments. Just don't make that municipal bonds because, like I said, that's included in provisional income. Many folks will use an annuity in this case. It grows tax deferred, and it would be invisible then to the provisional income calculations. Anticipate IRA RMDs. What is an RMD? Required minimum distributions. That may put you in a higher tax bracket. Consider drawing down IRAs before age 73. So now the reason 73 is on there is because that's the new required minimum distribution age, unless you're born after 1960. Then your required beginning date is age 75, but most is 73 right now. RMDs, that they could add to your tax burden, okay, because that's a requirement. You have to take the money out. So you want to be aware of that. And if you wait to take Social Security at 70 to maximize that benefit, and your wife or husband has a benefit for Social Security, and you're blessed maybe with a pension. So if you have 3 income streams, 2 Social Security checks, yours and your husband's, and a pension, what I have found is that if you have those 3 checks coming in before you even get to IRAs and 401ks, what I have seen is that people tend to be in a higher tax bracket than they otherwise thought they would be. So there are some tax planning opportunities here to see if we can't lower that down the road for folks, just to see if we can decrement the amount of taxes they have to pay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just tax planning, and that's how you do it. Convert traditional IRAs to a Roth. This is an interesting strategy. It's one that I have employed and done with folks as well. But the big aha here is that when you convert from an IRA to a Roth IRA, that's a taxable event. So you owe money on the taxes. There's analysis here that we do to see if that makes sense. And for some folks, it does not. For other folks, it does. Do you want to pay tax on the seed or you want to pay tax on the harvest? It really depends on kind of where you are, but we do analysis on that for folk because that is something that we think we could save folks money on. Delay Social Security, reduces number of years benefits are subject to tax. Reduce expenses, pay down debt, adopt a simpler lifestyle. I'm very much in tune with what do you cost. It is so critical to understand what your monthly budget expenses are in order to develop an income plan. First, you have to know, what are we solving for? What do we have? What income stream do we have to create? And the only way you can do that is you have to understand what your costs are first. Continue to manage taxes throughout retirement. I just think that is very critical. Okay, so Medicare may shrink your check. So one of the things we look at here in 2024, the Part B premium is $74.70. Well, if you claim your benefit, your Social Security benefit at 62, and that benefit is $18.20 because you took a 30% reduction, well, that Part B medical cost, that's basically Medicare it's 9%. But then look at this. If you claimed at 70, it's only 5%, that 174.70, because the check's bigger. So it's a very, very neat strategy, but it may impact, if you collect early, the percentage that you get to keep. All right, when to apply for Social Security. So if you apply early, your benefits start lower and they stay lower for life. I can't tell you how many people think that, oh yeah, I started my benefits, but it'll spring up in some way. They think it's going to spring up when they turn full retirement age to be some higher number. That's not the case. That's not what happens. COLAs, by the way, will magnify the impact of an early claiming decision versus a delayed claiming decision. If you elect to take your Social Security early, well, now your COLA is based on a 25 to 30% lower number than it otherwise could have been. Your benefit may be taxed or reduced to cover your Medicare premiums. Don't let the earnings test discourage you from working, because you remember, I mentioned it's like the changing the oil in flight. If you have an earnings at age 62, that earnings then goes into how your age into the next year on how your Social Security is calculated, because now Social Security has a brand new year that they can incorporate into the top 35 years. So it does improve the benefit. Delaying benefits may give surviving spouse more income. Remember, the surviving spouse receives what's the higher check, not both and not an average of the two. All right. So if I'm not going to live long, so why shouldn't I just claim my benefit and be done with it? Great question. Great question. And that's what brings up survivor benefits. For couples, you should always maximize the higher earner's benefit to protect the surviving spouse. That is the best strategy I can put forth to you. Spousal benefits work very simply like this. Spousal benefit is half the primary worker's primary insurance amount if started at full retirement age. Give you a simple example. I find that these are very helpful in people understanding how it works. Let's just say John's primary insurance amount, that's called PIA. I'm not going to keep saying it. I think you got the understanding that it's PIA, primary insurance amount. Let's say his PIA is $2,000, Jane's is $800. If Jane applies at full retirement age, her benefit would change to $1,000. Why? Well, because as his spouse, and for waiting till her full retirement age, she's entitled to 50% of his amount. That's what the rules say. Now, a caveat to that. What if Jane decides not to wait for her PIA? Let's say she decides not to wait till age 66 and a half. Let's just say she was born in 1957. But she decides, hey, I want to take this income now at age 62. Okay, she can do that. But now what happens is that she doesn't get 50%. She only gets 35%, okay, of the primary insurance amount, okay, of her spouse. The thing to keep in mind is that you don't get the full amount of whatever you're applying for unless you wait till your full retirement age. If you go early, either for a spousal benefit or for your earned benefit, you're going to take a haircut. You're going to take a cut in what you'd otherwise receive. Okay. Rules for spousal benefits. Primary worker must have filed for benefits. Spouse must be at least 62 for reduced benefit. So in other words, you can't collect Social Security age 58. You're too young. The earliest you can collect is age 62. No delayed credits on spousal benefits after full retirement age. By the way, let me just go back to this middle one. Spouse must be at least 62. So there is an exception for a surviving spouse. They can collect at 60. Should they? Again, there's math that goes into that, and I help people analyze that. All right, coordinating spousal benefits. So the maximization strategy that I like to chat about with folks, where lower earnings spouse PIA is more than 50% of the higher, both can collect at 70. Both should delay and collect at 70. That would maximize the amount you get out of the system. So if your benefit is 2,000 and your husband's is 1,800, because the 1,800 is more than half of the 2,000, which would be 1,000. If you both waited till full retirement age, if you both waited till 70, you can maximize what you could take out. Now, that's just a maximization strategy. That may not align with how you want to take income from the program, and that's what we can strategize about. What I mean by that is that that higher earner person, which in the case I just described would be the female, I would recommend the female waits till 70 and then the husband can turn on his benefit earlier to bring income into the family. Because what would happen then, if she passes first, he would get the higher check. If he passed first, she would just keep the higher check. But the bottom line is the family gets the highest income possible. That's the outcome. That's what we want to achieve. Okay, hybrid strategy. So where the lower earning spouse's PIA is less than 50%, this is what I just described. The lower earner can claim early. The higher earner should wait till 70. That is what I have seen to serve folks very well, very well. Generates income sooner while maximizing higher earning spouse's benefit over both lifetimes. That's what I've seen work real well. Again, this is some pages of what that customized report looks like that I could run for folk. Be very happy to do it if you're listening through this entire presentation. Be very happy to run one. You could see what it looks like. Well,